How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today I have some more awesome Mortal Kombat 11 news for you all. Today we're going to talk about the Kombat Kast date, we're going to talk about DVorah's new bug form which has been revealed, we're going to talk about the Switch gameplay and its graphics, and finally we're going to talk about the Mileena Hints that have been dropped here and there. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So first up, we have the Kombat Kast news. So according to Tyler Lansdowne, it seems like the Kombat Kast is most likely going to be on Friday, which is completely fine, although I don't personally prefer that, because that means I have to find other stuff to talk about until Friday. I'm trying to make daily uploads as of late, and it's a bit tougher to find things to talk about, especially during dead periods like this where there's not really that much news to discuss. And in case you're wondering who might be in the Kombat Kast, I did cover it in a past video, but it looks like for sure we have DVorah and most likely Kitana as well, with the third character being up in the air. It could be Frost, it could be Shao Kahn, or some new character entirely. But no matter who it is, I'm the most hyped for this Kombat Kast because Kitana and most likely Frost. That alone has me very excited, and DVorah is pretty darn cool too. And speaking of DVorah, that leads us into our next segment because DVorah's bug form has finally been revealed. So for anyone who's not aware, it's been confirmed in a recent interview that DVorah does in fact turn into a bug if you manage to kill her. Now of course this only happens if you choose that move in your loadout, but even so, it seems like a very powerful ability. And originally I assumed this form was going to be a caterpillar-like thing, which we saw in Mortal Kombat X. However, no, it looks like this bug is going to be much bigger and it can fly. Look at this thing, and definitely very creepy, has some menacing pincers and some gigantic wings. I love this thing. Although it does bring up a ton of questions that I'm gonna rapid fire right now. So question number 1, can it fly around with full 8-way movement, or does it hover at around that distance? And if so, can it jump? Can it crouch with its tiny little bug legs? And since it does hover above the ground like that, does that mean low attacks just whiff entirely? Because if so, that's awesome. And finally, what kind of attacks will it have? Now judging by its physique, it does look a little bit frail. I imagine it throws a ton of projectiles, maybe a tackle or a throw here and there, but for the most part I bet it's a heavy zoning character. And you know what, I lied, I do have one more question. Since this bug does appear to be like a queen bee, will it actually turn into another DVorah if you survive for long enough? Because if so, that's freaking awesome, but if not, that's okay. Because as I mentioned in a past video, this bug does have its own complete moveset, and that's just crazy enough as it is. And honestly, I've heard the community raise some pretty important questions as well, like can you throw this thing? Can you do a fatal blow on it? And if so, what happens? Can you do a fatality on this thing? Does this bug have its own fatality? All those good questions. Now for me personally, I imagine that you can't throw it, and if you do a fatal blow on it, I bet only the first hit comes out, so be careful not to waste all that meter. And as far as the fatality goes, I imagine you can't actually do one on the bug. I imagine it just falls down dead, or maybe you do a brutality on it. That'd be pretty cool. And as far as the bug itself, I doubt it has a fatality or a fatal blow of its own. But honestly, all these questions really do have me that much more excited for the Kombat Kast on Friday. Please let me know how you feel about this bug down in the comments and what questions you have about it. So next up we have the Switch gameplay. That's right, we have heard tons of news about the Switch, but we haven't seen any gameplay up until now. And honestly, even now what we have isn't that substantial, only about a half second of gameplay, but even so, people have made side-by-side comparisons, and it does appear like the Switch will have a slightly downgraded version of the game, at least in terms of graphics, but I honestly don't think anybody is surprised by that. For anyone who does not own a Switch, they don't even use discs, they use this tiny chip, and obviously you can't cram that much data onto a tiny chip, so even how it looks right now still has me pretty impressed. Especially if it does in fact run at a steady 60 frames per second, which Ed Boon has confirmed that it in fact will. And that's honestly about it for the Switch gameplay details, so next let's move on to perhaps the most interesting part of this video, which is that Mileena may have been hinted at in a past video. Now I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of speculation, we're definitely in some conspiracy territory right now, but even so, I do think a lot of signs do point towards Mileena being in the game as an unlockable character. So let's get into it. So first up we have evidence number 1. In the rapid fire interview, Ed Boon did state that he would subliminally hint at a character in 7 questions from now, or at least in between those 7 questions. And during those 7 questions, the only new names he brings up are Quan Chi and Mileena. So for me personally, Mileena seems a lot more likely. And on top of that minor hint from Ed Boon, we also have the official roster on the MK11 website. And if you look closely, you might notice something very important here. The roster here actually shows 27 characters and not 25 like Ed Boon stated, which means that we have 2 more slots. So if you count Shao Kahn, he's a pre-order bonus, that makes sense. However, that still leaves 1 more character up in the air. And I do personally think that character has a very high chance of being Mileena. Once again, Ed Boon might have hinted at her in his rapid fire interview. It definitely is a stretch, but at the same time it's a meme on this channel for me to mention Mileena in pretty much every single single video and basically meme her into the game. I'm gonna do it. You all keep laughing at me, but through sheer force of will, I will get Mileena in the game. I've done it before, don't you tempt me. But please tell me who you think that last character might be in the comments down below, because that's about it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. It really does help my channel out a ton. And while you're down there, why not keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.